Disguised millionaire orders steak, hidden message from black waiter reveals life-changing truth. Charlie stepped into Mama Joe's diner, a world away from the polished boardrooms and fancy galas that filled his life. He wore a simple cap pulled low and faded jeans, unrecognizable as the millionaire he was. The diner buzzed with laughter, families gathered over plates of warmth and comfort, vibrant photographs lined the walls. They told stories of locals, of life, and the community's resilience. It was the kind of place that exuded an authentic charm, a contrast to the sterile halls of his wealth. He ordered a steak, hoping that the familiar taste would ground him. In the back, Marcus hustled plates, his weary smile disguising the weight of responsibility on his shoulders. A single father of a bright little girl, he juggled multiple jobs in search of a better life for her. As Charlie took a seat, he noticed Marcus's struggle was not only financial, but emotional. Every playful laugh that filled the diner felt like a distant echo he could barely reach. "One steak coming right up," Marcus called out, his voice lively despite the exhaustion pooling in his eyes. Charlie saw the toll his life took on him and felt a tug of connection. "You've got a full house tonight," Charlie replied, his voice unexpectedly warm. Their conversation flowed, easy and genuine, revealing shared values about hard work and dreams for their families. But as they spoke, an unspoken tension crackled in the air. Then, a storm broke. A phone call shattered Marcus's moment of reprieve. His daughter had been suspended from school, a misunderstanding that felt insurmountable, mired in the prejudice that too often lingered in society. The man who had shown such resilience now wore a look of defeat, and Charlie's heart ached. He wanted to help, but in the face of such injustice, how could he step in without potentially complicating things even more? The diner's laughter faded as Charlie witnessed the true weight of Marcus's burdens. He felt the tension in his chest tighten, the injustice like a physical force. Was his wealth simply a shield, protecting him from the realities of life that Marcus faced every day? Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Charlie pondered a pivotal thought. What if he used his resources to uplift not just Marcus, but the community struggling under similar weight? Inspired by Marcus's unwavering spirit, he saw beyond the steak before him. This diner could be a beacon of hope. He felt the fire of a new purpose ignite in his chest, igniting dreams of investing in community programs, creating equitable opportunities. The diner, once just a stop on his path, morphed into a poignant symbol of change, a place where dreams could defy the odds stacked against them. Yet there was fear. Would he be a savior or an intruder? Would his wealth, meant to help, become a burden? As he faced this moral crossroads, the question clamored in his soul: would he break the walls of his privilege to stand with Marcus, or retreat back to the isolation of wealth? The warm, inviting atmosphere of the diner contrasted sharply with the decision weighing heavily on Charlie's heart. Would his next move change lives, or would he slip back into the shadows of affluence, leaving his heart untouched? The answer lingered in the air, heightened by hope and uncertainty, drawing both Charlie and the reader deeper into the story, hungry for the next chapter's revelation. Charlie watched as Marcus rushed between tables, the exhaustion etched into every line of his face. For a fleeting moment, he saw the weight of responsibility bearing down on the man, and it stirred something deep within him. It was time for action. But what could a man like him, cloaked in privilege, truly offer? The diner buzzed on, unaware of the internal war raging inside Charlie. He could feel the warmth of the laughter around him, yet his heart floated in chilly uncertainty. He was grateful for his fortune, but it had become a gilded cage. Every dollar and resource distanced him from the very human connection he craved. What happened? Charlie asked gently, leaning across the counter as Marcus wiped the sweat off his brow. Marcus exhaled heavily, his shoulders slumping. "Just a misunderstanding, you know." Some kid said my daughter started a fight. They don't see how hard she is trying, how hard I'm trying. The words hit hard, like a slap in the face. Each one dripped with desperation and determination, and Charlie knew he couldn't just sit back and let this continue. This was bigger than a steak order. What if I could help? Charlie blurted out. He hadn't intended to say it, but the words came rushing forth, fueled by an urgency that gripped his heart. Marcus looked surprised, disbelief flashing in his eyes. Help? With what? Charlie took a deep breath. Your daughter's school, maybe I could talk to someone. Maybe there's a way to clear this up. Marcus shook his head, a smile slowly breaking through as if the notion felt too good to be true. You can't just wave a wand, man. They don't listen to people like me. Or like me either, Charlie countered, challenging Marcus's defeatist tone. But it's worth a shot. You said she's trying. Maybe I can try too. Marcus hesitated, clearly torn between skepticism and hope. You don't know what it's like. This is bigger than me, it's a system, Charlie. Then let us dismantle it. The words burst out of him. I can't sit back and continue living in my world while you fight in yours. Marcus studied him for a moment. The weight of the world hung between them like a bridge waiting to be crossed. Finally, he nodded, though uncertainty still clouded his eyes. If you want to really help, it's going to require more than just words. We will have to fight together. A flicker sparked in Charlie's heart. Maybe this was the call to action he needed. Not just for Marcus or his daughter, but for the entire community. As Marcus returned to work, Charlie sat there, a new flame igniting his spirit. He imagined how he could use his resources, perhaps to fund scholarships, mentorship programs, anything that could create tangible change, but as the night wore on and the diner began to quiet down, Charlie felt the familiar tightening in his chest. Was he ready to step outside the confines of his life? Would the weight of his privilege be a shield or a noose? Before he could answer, a young girl with bright eyes entered the diner, and Marcus's expression transformed in an instant. That's my daughter, Lily, he whispered, pride swelling in his gaze. As Charlie watched the reunion unfold, he realized he was at a turning point in his life. The stakes felt higher now. Was he truly willing to embrace this mission, to dive into uncertainty, to fight alongside Marcus and Lily? His heart raced with excitement and dread. He knew the coming days would test him in ways he couldn't yet comprehend. But one thought lingered in the air, thick with promise. What if he was meant to be more than just a spectator in the lives of others? With a deep breath, Charlie felt something shift within him. This was more than a chance encounter. It was an opportunity for transformation. Tomorrow would be the day he stepped up. But as he prepared to leave, he couldn't shake the nagging question that hung like fog over him. Would his actions lead to real change, or would he merely be another passing face in their story? The next morning, Charlie woke with a sense of urgency that buzzed in his veins like fresh coffee coursing through his system. He glanced at his reflection in the mirror. The familiar face staring back at him now seemed oddly different, awash with purpose. No longer was he just a man defined by his wealth, he was stepping into the role of an ally. After a quick breakfast, Charlie headed straight for the school. The echoes of laughter from children darting around in the yard filled him with a bittersweet nostalgia, reminding him of simpler times. He found the principal's office, the door marked with a plaque that read Ms. Jennings. Knocking lightly, he felt a strange mix of confidence and trepidation. "Come in," a voice sounded from behind the door. As he entered, a woman in her 50s looked up from her desk, an eyebrow raised. She wore a serious expression that softened when she recognized him. "Mr. Overton, to what do I owe the pleasure?" Charlie took a breath, resisting the urge to retreat. "I'm here about Marcus's daughter, Lily. I wanted to discuss the situation surrounding her." Her expression shifted, a hint of surprise swirling with caution in her eyes. "I see. Marcus is a dedicated father. But, well, as you may know, the system is a bit complicated." "It shouldn't be," he responded, frustration leaking into his voice. Kids shouldn't be punished for misunderstandings. They deserve better, especially when they are trying their hardest. Ms. Jennings adjusted her glasses, studying him. And you think a conversation will change that? I believe speaking up is the first step. Maybe I can help fund a program. A feeder for scholarships, mentorship, something that shows kids like Lily that someone cares. His voice trembled, the gravity of his words settling around them. For a moment, silence enveloped the room. Charlie felt the weight of her gaze, weighing his sincerity against his social standing. Finally, she nodded slowly, the skepticism still lingering but giving way to something else. You're passionate about this. But, I must warn you, even with resources, you'll encounter pushback. People don't like change. I'm ready for that. Charlie replied, firmness creeping into his voice. Perhaps Marcus was right, this was bigger than him, but he was willing to try. All right. Let us discuss how we can make it happen. The conversation flowed, ideas bouncing back and forth. In the back of Charlie's mind, fear flickered. Could he really change anything? But every minute spent strategizing with Ms. Jennings began to lessen that fear, replacing it with hope. After they concluded, Charlie stepped out of the office feeling lighter, yet with a knot of anticipation tightening in his stomach. This was only the beginning. He promised to meet with Marcus later, filled with news of their discussion. As he walked through the school parking lot, he caught sight of a group of kids playing basketball. The sight of them laughing and enjoying their carefree moments made his heart swell. They were the future, and he was determined to protect it, but as the sun began to set, painting the sky in shades of orange and pink, an unsettling feeling tugged at him. Was he really doing enough? As he drove away, a voice inside whispered that the real fight hadn't even begun. Tomorrow would bring the meeting with Marcus, and with it, the chance to come up against the truth of the system they were up against. Would their combined efforts spark change or fizzle out like fleeting fireworks? The thought hung in the air, heavy and potent, as Charlie drove on, each passing street sign a reminder of the journey ahead, a journey he now knew he couldn't take alone. Would the challenges they faced forge an unbreakable bond between him and Marcus, or would it drive them apart? Charlie's mind raced as he parked his car outside the diner where he had arranged to meet Marcus. The building was aged but filled with character, the scent of grilled food wafting through the air. He stepped inside, the familiar chime of the bell above the door announcing his arrival. The place was buzzing, filled with the sounds of clinking cutlery and animated conversations. He spotted Marcus in a corner booth, slouched slightly, wearing a look that suggested a mix of exhaustion and hope. There was a warmth in the air between them, an understanding that had somehow formed through their shared concern for Lily. Charlie slid into the booth, the leather cool against his skin. "Thanks for coming, Charlie," Marcus said, his voice low but sincere. "I wasn't sure you'd actually want to get involved. I meant what I said. We need to do something." "I spoke with Ms. Jennings today," Charlie replied, leaning in, his heart pounding with anticipation. Marcus's eyes flickered with interest. "Yeah. And? She's on board. We talked about creating a mentorship program and raising funds for scholarships." Charlie could hardly contain his excitement. "But we need a solid plan. I want this to be something real, something that changes lives." A reluctant smile pulled at the corners of Marcus's mouth. "That's good to hear. It's a tough uphill battle, you know." "I get that," Charlie said, his voice steady. The thought of all the hurdles ahead was intimidating, but he wasn't backing down. A challenge worth facing, right? "True," Marcus replied, his expression softening. For a moment, the tension between them lifted. The two men had been strangers just days ago, yet now, there was a palpable bond forming, one forged through determination and a shared goal. Their conversation flowed, discussing logistics, outreach, and how to get kids like Lily involved. Each idea was a thread weaving them closer. As they spoke, the din of the diner faded, replaced by the rhythm of their resolve. Then, Charlie's phone buzzed in his pocket, breaking the spell. It was a text from his assistant, urging him to consider a high-stakes meeting scheduled for tomorrow morning. He hesitated, torn between his old life of wealth and corporate obligations and his new commitment to the community. Marcus caught the momentary flicker of doubt in Charlie's eyes. "What's wrong?" "Nothing," Charlie said quickly, but the weight of the decision loomed large. I have a meeting. It's important." "Sometimes, we've got to choose what really matters," Marcus said. His words hung in the air, piercing through Charlie's hesitance like a wake-up call. "Yeah, I know," Charlie responded. "But the stakes are high." David, the diner's waiter, a tall man with a smile that radiated warmth, approached their table. "What can I get you two?" Charlie ordered a steak, and while Marcus made his selection, Charlie couldn't shake the sensation that something deeper was at play, an energy thrumming beneath the surface. Just as the waiter turned to leave, he paused. "You know," he began, his tone suddenly serious. "Sometimes, the choices we think are important aren't the ones that truly define us." His eyes flicked between Charlie and Marcus before he walked away. Charlie felt the weight of the words. It was as if the whole diner had stopped for a moment, just for him. Was he truly ready to commit to this path? As they continued their conversation, Charlie's thoughts swirled, caught between his old life and the new road unfolding before him. That simple message echoed in his mind, a question waiting to be answered. Now, he knew this was just the beginning of something much larger, something that might just shake the foundations of his life. Did he have the courage to choose the right course? And would Marcus stand by his side through the storms to come? The meal continued, laughter mingling with the tension in the air. As they delved deeper into plans and dreams, Charlie felt the stirrings of something beautiful on the horizon, yet a shadow lingered, a reminder that the hardest part was still to come. Would he find the strength to transform his commitment into reality, or would fear pull him back into the shadows where he once thrived? Charlie ate slowly, savoring each bite of his steak, but his mind drifted. Conversations swirled around him, voices rising and falling like a tide, but he was submerged in his own thoughts. The energy of the diner felt electric, charged with potential. Marcus animatedly talked about outreach efforts, but Charlie hardly heard him. That he suddenly snapped back to reality as Marcus took a breath, clearly waiting for a response. "Charlie." He prodded gently. "Sorry, man. I was lost in thought," Charlie admitted, forcing a smile. "What were you saying about the community centers?" "Right. They need funds to run workshops, but we can combine those with mentorship. It's not just about money, it's about connection." Marcus's eyes lit up passionately. "Finding mentors who really want to make a difference, who can relate to kids like Lily." Marcus's passion struck something in Charlie's chest. He nodded, but the weight of his impending meeting gnawed at him. "Yeah, I know that connection matters. He hesitated, unsure if revealing his internal struggle would weaken their momentum. "Just what?" Marcus asked gently. "You can't hold back now, not when you're so close to something important." Charlie sighed. "It's just this meeting tomorrow. It feels like a fork in the road. If I stay on my corporate path, I know what to expect. But if I go with this, it's not about what you know, it's about what you can do," Marcus said, his determination palpable. "You have a chance to change lives. Don't let fear anchor you to something that doesn't fulfill you." A silence passed between them, a heavy moment where Charlie felt the truth of Marcus's words swirling in the air. He remembered the laughter of kids he taught in his earlier years, the joy of watching them grow and thrive. Suddenly, his corporate life seemed eerily hollow. "Here's the thing," Marcus continued, a glimmer of hope in his voice. "We could really use someone like you, Charlie. Not just for the money but for your voice, your connections. This could be bigger than you think." Charlie felt a flutter of excitement. A shiver ran up his spine as if the universe were nudging him toward a decision he had to make. But doubt slithered back in. What if he failed? What if he wasn't enough? David returned, bringing a fresh pot of coffee and refilling their mugs with a bright smile, his presence cutting through the tension. "You guys look like you're solving the world's problems over here. Got any room for a coffee-loving philosopher?" He joked. Marcus chuckled. "Just debating how to change the world, David. Any tips?" David raised an eyebrow playfully. "Sometimes you've just got to dive in. Don't think about the weight of the world. Just focus on that first step." Charlie caught David's eye, an understanding passing between them. This man, with his simple yet profound suggestion, could see right through him. It was freeing and frightening all at once. "Yeah," Charlie said, embracing the thought. "One step at a time." By the time they left the diner, the sun had dipped low in the sky, casting a warm golden hue across the pavement. Charlie felt the weight on his chest just a little lighter, but as he turned to Marcus, a sense of urgency overtook him. "What if we don't get the funding?" Charlie blurted out, the fear spilling forth. "What if all of this hope goes nowhere?" Marcus placed a hand firmly on his shoulder. "Then we figure it out. No one said it would be easy. But nothing worth fighting for ever is." Charlie took a deep breath, feeling the pulse of possibility in the evening air. "Okay, let us do this. I'm in." As they walked toward their cars, a sudden vibration from Charlie's phone made him pause. A new text. His heart raced as he read the screen. It was a message from Ms. Jennings with a subject line he couldn't ignore: urgent, funding opportunities. Charlie exchanged a glance with Marcus. Were they really on the verge of something transformative? With excitement bubbling up, he hit reply, typing furiously. But just as he pressed send, an alarming thought struck him. What if he took the wrong path again? Would he be brave enough to choose the right one and stand up for what mattered most? In that moment, they heard a commotion nearby. A loud crash shattered the calm night, as people rushed to see what had happened, the energy around them shifting once more. "Come on," Marcus said, pulling Charlie toward the noise. "Let's check it out." Charlie followed, heart pounding. Whatever it was, it felt significant, a new turn in what seemed like an unfolding journey. But what awaited them in the chaos? As Charlie and Marcus edged closer, the shouts intensified, cutting through the night's stillness. They rounded the corner, and a scene unfolded in front of them that was both unsettling and gripping. A group of people had gathered around a toppled food cart, its contents scattered across the pavement like confetti, fruits, pastries, and a smattering of what looked like a gourmet steak dinner. The air was thick with surprise, and Charlie's gaze landed on a gentleman in a sharp suit, frantically trying to gather the remains. He was panting, a look of panic etched on his face. Charlie caught the glint of desperation in the man's eyes, a startling contrast to his polished exterior. "Hey, are you okay?" Charlie called out, instinctively moving closer. The man paused, shooting a quick glance at him before shaking his head. "I'm fine. This was for someone special." As he continued to collect the fallen dishes, a figure moved from the outskirts of the crowd. Lily, a girl from the community center Marcus had been mentioning, stepped forward. Her petite frame was swallowed by the bustling adults around her, but her voice rang clear and strong. "Mr. Thompson. We can help." She shouted, her enthusiasm cutting through the murmurs of the crowd. "We can put everything back together." The gentleman paused again, a flicker of recognition sparking in his eyes. "Lily? You're here?" "Of course. We could use some of this food for the youth center tomorrow." Her excitement was palpable, and before Charlie knew it, others in the crowd were joining her, retracing the steps back to right the wrong. Watching the scene unfold, Charlie felt an electric jolt ripple through him. Here was a glimpse of what he had been considering the very essence of connection. A moment so simple yet bursting with life. He noticed how instinctively people responded to Lily's call, how they blurred the lines between strangers and friends, each one pitching in.as food returned to the cart. Mr. Thompson exhaled, relief washing over him. "Thank you all so much. Really, I no need to thank us, Lily interrupted with a beaming smile. Just keep making the best steaks you can. We appreciate people like you, putting in the effort to make this community stronger. Charlie's heart swelled with pride. There was something beautiful about this, it resonated deep within him. It wasn't just about the money or the mentorship, it was about coming together. Marcus nudged Charlie with an elbow, a knowing grin on his face. See? He said quietly. This is what it's all about. This is why you should go for it. Charlie nodded, heart racing, but an unsettling thought came. What if he couldn't be that voice for Lily and others like her? Would he be brave enough to stand and make a difference? Just then, a roar of laughter erupted from the crowd, pulling him back. Mr. Thompson joined in, cracking a joke about the steak being too well done for his taste, and suddenly the weight in Charlie's chest felt lighter. The community was healing right before his eyes. As they walked back, eyes twinkling with hope, Charlie's phone buzzed again, this time with another message from Ms. Jennings. The subject line caught his breath. Let us discuss the community center's vision. What do you think? Marcus asked, eagerly glancing at Charlie. Guess we need to figure out this vision too, Charlie said. He glanced back at the crowd, where people were still helping, still laughing. This is just the beginning, isn't it? But uncertainty still nagged at him. What if that vision wasn't what he thought? What if he was chasing a dream that wasn't his at all? In that swirl of emotion, a piece of paper caught his eye, fluttering just by the food cart. As he bent down to pick it up, it felt important, like a secret waiting to be uncovered. When he opened it, his breath caught. It was a handwritten note, cryptic but promising. The real change happens one connection at a time. Charlie felt a shiver run through him. What did that even mean? Suddenly, a new urgency sparked within him. He looked at Marcus, who raised an eyebrow, eager to know what Charlie had found. What would the note reveal? What connections were waiting to be made? The note shook slightly in Charlie's hand, the words seeming to pulse with energy. He was still grappling with the implication of the message when Marcus leaned in closer, curiosity glimmering in his eyes. What does it say? Charlie hesitated for a moment, the weight of the paper feeling heavier with every second. It's about change. Something about connections. Marcus furrowed his brow, glancing at the crowd that had now settled into friendly banter while still salvaging the remains of the food cart. The air was lighter, the laughter infectious. Connections? Sounds a bit cliché, doesn't it? Yeah, Charlie agreed, folding the note neatly and slipping it into his pocket. But maybe it's deeper than that. What if it's about more than just helping out tonight? What if it's about? He trailed off, his thoughts racing ahead of him. Just then, a shout erupted from nearby, jolting him. A tall woman, her arms laden with pastries, spun to the crowd with a smile as wide as the moon. Who wants a free dessert with their steak dinner? Laughter erupted again, and Charlie felt the warmth gather around him. It was so simple, this moment, yet it swirled with a kind of magic. He watched as Mr. Thompson, still dusting off his jacket, joined in the joke. Only if it's not a burnt one. He called back, sending the crowd into a new fit of laughter. That's it, Marcus said quietly, breaking Charlie's reverie. These connections. They hold power, real power. Maybe that's what that note is hinting at. Every little interaction could mean something more. Charlie looked around, taking in the scene. Friends, strangers, both old and young, all contributing to the rebuilding effort. Each person was connected by a shared moment, one that would linger long after this evening ended. He felt something shift in him, a whisper of purpose stirring alive. Let us figure this vision out, then, Charlie said suddenly, feeling the strength of resolve surge through him. I mean, if we're going to do this community center right, we have to build something that inspires those connections. Marcus grinned, clapping his friend on the back. That's the spirit. What's next? The meeting with Ms. Jennings, Charlie replied, squaring his shoulders. We'll need to let her know how important community is in all of this. It has to reflect the way we saw people come together tonight. Impressed murmurs rippled through Charlie as their group dwindled and people wandered off, pastry-laden hands clutching free treats. Yet as they walked, Charlie's mind kept wandering back to that note tucked safely in his pocket. It wasn't just words, it was a call to action, a push towards something meaningful. But what exactly? Suddenly, they noticed a commotion at the edge of the park. A small circle had formed, and voices were rising, tinged with concern. Charlie's heart raced. What now? They moved towards the fray, and as they approached, a figure emerged, a young boy holding a broken skateboard, tears in his eyes. They don't get it. I just wanted to ride. It's not fair. The crowd watched in silence, and something inside Charlie stirred again. The urgency returned, stronger this time, and he felt Marcus pressure his shoulder gently. What do we do? Marcus murmured. Charlie took a deep breath, grounding himself in the moment. This wasn't just about providing food and laughter, it was a chance to start something new. A chance to connect. I don't know, he said, his voice steady despite the roiling emotions. But I think we're about to find out. As they stepped forward into the crowd, Charlie felt the weight of the note in his pocket. What would happen next? What connections waited for him in this unfolding moment? The tension in the air was palpable. Charlie could sense the crowd's heavy breaths as they took in the boy's sadness. He looked up, and just for a second, their eyes met. The boy's face was a mixture of anger and despair, and it broke Charlie's heart. He didn't know what to say to ease the pain. The whispers among the group about the boy's broken skateboard felt distant. Charlie knew that this wasn't just about a toy. This was about feeling heard, feeling understood. It was about being part of something bigger than oneself. Hey, let us talk to him, Charlie finally said, stepping forward with renewed determination. The crowd parted like the Red Sea, but all he could focus on was the boy. As they got closer, Charlie crouched to the boy's level. I saw you riding earlier. You looked like you were having a blast. What happened to your skateboard? I didn't do anything wrong. The boy shouted, frustration bubbling over. I was just trying to ride, and some kids they just don't get it. Some kids? Marcus echoed, now kneeling beside Charlie. What kids were bullying you? Those jerk faces over there. The boy pointed to a group standing off to the side, snickering and tossing a basketball between themselves. They think it's funny to mess with me. Charlie's heart sank. I'm really sorry that happened. That's not fair at all. You deserve to have fun. I just wanted to ride with everyone, but they laughed. The boy rubbed his eyes, tears spilling over. You know what? Charlie felt a surge of hope. I think we can do something about that. Let us get you back on your board. Yeah. The boy looked at him, eyes wide. Absolutely. We're all here to have fun and build something together, Marcus chimed in, his smile steady and encouraging. How about we find a way to make this park a better place? A place where everyone can feel included. Charlie glanced at Marcus, feeling the weight of their mission start to shift, like the ground under their feet. The boy's frown began to soften, a hint of curiosity glimmering. Really? You would do that? Of course, Charlie insisted. And we want to help you. How about we organize some kind of skate event or a workshop? Let us show everyone how awesome riding can be. He felt a warmth spread out, almost electric. Charlie glanced at the crowd again. They were listening. Some were nodding, others were murmuring with approval. Yeah. I want to learn tricks. I want to invite my friends. The boy exclaimed, a spark igniting in his eyes. Charlie's heart swelled. Then let us do it. Let us bring everyone together. No more laughing, only cheering each other on. We can build a little skate community right here. The boy grinned. Really? Promise, Marcus said, standing tall. As the boy's excitement bubbled over, the crowd began to rally around them, murmurs of support creeping forward. Each person started to share ideas, connect dots, and slowly, the atmosphere shifted from concern to hopeful. Charlie felt that note pulling at him again. The message buzzed with potential. It wasn't just about the boy and his skateboard, it was about igniting a flame of change within their whole community. And don't forget, Marcus added, still riding on the wave of enthusiasm. We'll make sure those kids learn a lesson about kindness. Just as the crowd began bouncing ideas and excitement reached its peak, the basketball group took notice. They stepped forward, their laughter fading into nervous whispers as they observed the newfound energy. Suddenly, Charlie's mind raced once more. What if this was the start of something much bigger? What if they could unite everyone in this park? Would they embrace the connection he felt strongly on that note? Before he could voice it, the youngest kid from the basketball group stepped up. Hey. Can we join? It's not fair if we're not part of the skate fun. The air shifted again. Charlie couldn't tell if this would lead to conflict or a broader understanding. Absolutely, he said, grinning. Everyone is welcome. He looked at Marcus, who returned a confident nod. But a knot tightened in Charlie's stomach, uncertain what twists awaited in this moment of connection. Would it hold? Would they all come together as they hoped? As excitement brewed and plans sparked, Charlie felt the note's energy intensify again, and he knew this was just the beginning. What would they discover next in the journey of change? The atmosphere shimmered with anticipation. Charlie could see the boy's hope radiating, and he felt it too, as if everyone's dreams were suddenly within reach. The discussive hum of the crowd swirled around him, igniting inspiration and nervous energy. All right, Marcus announced, clapping his hands together to rally attention. Let's kick this off. We need ideas, volunteers, and a date for our event. The boy's name was Max, and his face lit up like a firework. I can make posters. We can let everyone know about the skate event. His enthusiasm was contagious. Great idea, Max. Charlie replied, reflecting the boy's excitement. We can hang them at the community center and around school. Let's get people talking. Just then, a tall girl from the back stepped forward. I can help with snacks. Everyone loves snacks, right? Absolutely. Charlie said, the crowd's energy surging. Food brings people together. The crowd responded with cheers, laughter bubbling up like a fountain. Charlie couldn't believe how fast everything was moving. The heavy weight of despair had lifted, replaced by joyful chatter. Each person began offering their talents, sharing how they could contribute. A little boy from the basketball group mentioned he had an uncle who could sponsor the event. Interesting, a sponsor could give them the extra fuel they needed. With every new suggestion, Charlie's heart raced faster. This felt bigger than a skate event, it felt like a movement. A renewed sense of belonging was forming like a tapestry, with everyone weaving their own pieces into the fabric. But then, an uneasy silence fell over the crowd. Charlie's heart sank as the kids from the basketball group shuffled uncomfortably, glancing at the concrete under their feet. The air grew thick with hesitation. Were they truly ready to come together? Hey, he said, stepping toward their group of hesitant basketball players. What do you guys think? Are you excited about joining in? One of the taller boys looked up, a hint of vulnerability crackling in his voice. We want to be part of it, but we don't really know how to skateboard. Charlie's stomach twisted. Were they going to pull away now? Then let's make it fun for everyone. Marcus chimed in, rising from his crouch. We'll have beginner lessons. You can learn and hang out with us. That opened something in the air. Max's face brightened again. Yeah. I'll show you how to ride mine. We can learn together. Relief washed over Charlie. The walls of division were breaking down, and he could see the flickers of unity forming. All those moments of laughter could outweigh the hurt, but it wouldn't be easy. Just as their newfound hope hung in the air, a low voice rumbled from the older boys in the back, still clutching the basketball. What if we mess it up? What if you guys don't want us to skate after? Charlie felt that knot in his stomach tighten again. This was the question that mattered. Then we'll figure it out together. Charlie's voice was firm, echoing with his conviction. Everyone makes mistakes, but it's what we learn from them that counts. We want to grow together, right? As Charlie scanned the crowd, he locked eyes with the older boy who had spoken. There was fear in his gaze, but also something else, a flicker of hope. Together, Charlie repeated. That's the key. As the murmur of agreement rippled through the crowd, he couldn't help but feel the magic of connection wrapping around them. They were on the cusp of building something truly special. Just then, a spark of creativity burst through the crowd. What if we have a showcase at the end? Someone shouted. A day where everyone can show what they learned. Yes. Charlie exclaimed, his heart soaring. That way, we celebrate every step, even the falls. Let us create something beautiful. But in the back of his mind, doubts flickered, the reality of challenges looming. As excitement ignited once more, Charlie wondered, could they actually pull this off? Would they truly transform their park into a sanctuary of inclusion? Would fear give way to belonging? Before he could delve deeper into his thoughts, the basketball boys nodded, their resolve strengthening. We'll join, the tall boy said firmly. That was it. They had stepped forward, ready to bond and learn. As laughter and shouts of encouragement filled the air, Charlie's heart raced with a medley of hope and apprehension, but even as hope shone brightly, he couldn't shake the feeling that their journey had just begun. They were on the edge of something pivotal, but what trials awaited them in the process? Would they all emerge stronger together, or face a wall they couldn't break down? In that shared moment of laughter and anticipation, Charlie realized they were about to find out. Days passed, and the park buzzed with energy each afternoon as the community began to unite over the upcoming skate event. Flyers adorned the community center walls, compliments of Max and his determined friends, while tables filled up with volunteers sharing ideas, drinks, and laughter as they planned their gathering point. Charlie found himself swept into the whirlwind, not just as a supporter but as an enthusiastic participant in this blossoming movement. Every time he stepped foot in the park, the air felt different, thick with possibilities and the sweet scent of adventure. Nearby, Marcus facilitated lessons for any kid wishing to learn, while Charlotte's laughter painted the atmosphere with a vibrant sense of connection. No longer was Charlie that millionaire cloaked in solitude, he was now part of a collective heartbeat that thumped with hope and camaraderie. However, fear still lingered at the edge of their exciting endeavors. One evening, as they rehearsed logistics for the big day, an unsettling thought hovered in Charlie's mind. Would they truly attract people from all walks of life? Would the basketball group stick around, or would they retreat back to their old habits of division when faced with uncertainty? That evening, the sun dipped low, casting a golden hue over the park as families started to gather for their first official meeting to discuss the event. With heartfelt nervousness, Charlie took a breath, stepping up to address the enthusiastic crowd that included familiar faces and new ones. Everyone, thank you for being here, he began, feeling the tremor of vulnerability weave through him. We're not just planning a skate event. We're laying the groundwork for something bigger, a community that stands together and advocates for one another. A low murmur of agreement rippled through the crowd, bringing him strength, and then, as if on cue, he caught sight of Lily sparkling with energy nearby, holding Max's skateboard proudly. The sight of her reminded him why all of this was crucial. It was about kids like her, kids who deserved a chance to soar despite the system stacked against them. Charlie pressed on, encouraging everyone to share their fears and hopes for the event, a move that built deeper trust among the crowd. Together, they strategized to ensure inclusivity, beginner traps, games to learn skills, and mentorship opportunities. He envisioned a space where every kid felt welcome, where laughter replaced the pain of division. Reminding himself of how precious every connection was, he completed the meeting with a challenge. Let us show up for each other on event day, and beyond that let us support each other always. The crowd erupted into applause, hearts pounding with promise. As the day of the event unfolded, Charlie awoke to a day that felt electric. Sunshine poured through his window, igniting his excitement as he scarfed down breakfast. Would today be the defining moment he longed for? He dressed with purpose, donning a t-shirt that read "Together we rise." When he arrived at the park, the atmosphere buzzed with a delicious mix of anticipation and nerves. Families filled the area, and skateboards whirred along the freshly painted ramps and curves. Vibrant banners flapped in the wind, and a warmth swelled in his chest as he greeted the kids in attendance. Laughter echoed all around him. Marcus stood at the center, directing groups and encouraging anyone nervous to join in. Even the basketball boys were now mingling, throwing their elbows in playful banter with the others, their earlier insecurities melting away in the face of shared joy. As the first skaters hit the ramps, cheers erupted, electricity pulsing through the crowd. Charlie felt like he was witnessing magic. Lily and Max tore up the skate park, their smiles infectious. They were not just riding, they were leading the charge for change, but just then, chaos stirred. A group of kids stood at the ramp's edge, whispering doubtfully, unsure if they should join in. Their earlier laughter now overshadowed with uncertainty. Charlie's heart sank. But before he could even process it, Lily spotted them. She hopped off her board, wove through the crowd, and approached them confidently. "Hey! Come join us. It's all about having fun together," she called, her voice ringing bright with encouragement. Charlie watched the scene unfold, light bursting forth as the hesitant kids nodded, fueled by Lily's simple invitation. In that moment, he understood, this was the essence of true change, transformative connection sparking hope. As the celebration continued, culminating in smiles, cheers, and connections blossoming, Charlie knew this was the moment he had prepared for. He had stepped into this purpose wholeheartedly, and tomorrow he could face any challenges ahead, together with Marcus, Lily, and the entire community. It was a transition from isolation to connection, a powerful reminder that together they could face the storms. In the warmth of that moment, under the bright sky, Charlie felt his heart bloom. The real change had begun, one connection at a time together, forever transforming dreams into reality. And as the sun began to dip once more, painting the sky in glorious hues of pink and gold, Charlie looked to the gathered crowd and realized the truth. They were not just allies, they had become family, and as the final skateboard carved through the sunset, a profound sense of urgency tugged within him, a call to action. You need to subscribe now to ensure you don't miss the next exclusive stories that could change lives. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and support these important transformations. Comment your thoughts about this ending and share how you plan to connect with your communities. Share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who also need to see this impactful journey. Don't wait not even one more second to join the movement. Only true fans understand how essential you are in spreading these powerful messages.